Good evening and welcome to live stream at the Upper Room. My name is Ron Strand and I'm glad that you're joining us tonight as people are starting to log on. And we'll kind of go through some housekeeping stuff before we bring John in tonight. I'm really excited about tonight's show and we'll get into that in a minute. But if you're viewing for the first time, welcome. And you're probably wondering, what is this with the Upper Room? I'll tell you what it is. We are the Upper Room is a ministry, I guess where you'd call it, where entertainment and culture meets ministry. And we started in 2009. We do once a month events, although COVID has stopped that since back in March. The venue that we use is not available to us. So as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. We started doing live streams every week. And so we've been connecting with a lot of different people this way. And it's been great. So check us out, though, at you can check our website out at theupperroompresents.com. That's theupperroompresents.com. And you're probably, well, you could be watching us on either Facebook or YouTube right now. We simulcast. But like us on Facebook at The Upper Room Presents, also on YouTube at The Upper Room Presents. Boy, a lot of people tonight throughout the country are getting buried under snow. A lot of them without electricity. We'll be praying for them. I know a lot of people that are in that situation right now. It's just kind of a crazy time. So we had last week, we had Terry Scott Taylor, the founder of the former group Daniel Amos, a great show. If you missed that, you could also watch. You can go to our not our website, but our Facebook page or our YouTube page, and you can go back and watch all of the past interviews that we've done. Some great ones there, and check that out. Next week, we're having author, speaker, Gregory Reed. Gregory has got an absolutely riveting testimony. I've talked to him just a little bit, but I've listened to him a lot. Great guy, and we're really looking forward to having him. He's going to be sharing his testimony, some stuff with the occult and some crazy stuff, but man, the guy's been miraculously saved, and it's going to be a great time. That'll be next Monday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be sure to tune in. Hey, I am really excited tonight to have John Elefante on. He's been somebody that I have wanted to have on for a long time, and we have finally made connection. Most of you know him as the former lead singer of the group, mega group Kansas, but that's just part of his life. He only spent part of his time there, professional life. The guy, I got tired just reading about the things that he did because he's done so much. But what an interesting guy. He's a Grammy Award winner, a GMA Dove Award winner, and we're going to get to know him a little bit better tonight. So would you welcome my guest, John Elefante. Hi, John.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Glad to have you, and thanks for doing this tonight.
Pleasure.
Yeah, you're coming to us from Tennessee, from
very cold and snowy.
Cold and snowy.
I shouldn't say snowy, icy Tennessee.
Icy. I don't know what happened to our picture since I had you on a little bit earlier before the show, but it's gotten a little grainier. But I think we'll be okay. Are we good on that, Marisa? Do you think we need to Okay. Well, we'll go with it. It looks good. So, John, I as I was saying in researching and getting ready for tonight, man, you've accomplished a lot of things, and quite an individual. You and I were talking about your early upbringing. You grew up in Southern California.
Yes.
I read that you what brought you out, because you were born in New York, right?
Yeah, I was born in Levittown, New York. Moved out of there when I was about 12 years old.
Oh, okay. What brought you guys west to California?
My dad got laid off. He worked at one of these airline assembly plants, and he got laid off, and we just kind of hightailed it in the middle of the night and went to Southern Cal.
Is that right? So did he come out and work in the aerospace industry here?
Yeah. His sister company. I think it was Northrop or something.
Oh yeah, well that's all in that South Bay, El Segundo area down there. Yeah. You settled in Seal Beach, Long Beach area.
Yeah, Seal Beach, Long Beach area.
Yeah. So you're a local boy, local California boy. Mm-hmm. Surf town, Seal Beach, a surf town. Were you a surfer at the time?
Oh gosh, yes. Hunting the beach, the cliffs was my place.
Oh yeah, I used to go there all the time. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Do you miss the coast?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah.
I miss the coast, but there's a lot of things I don't miss.
Yeah.
But
No.
on days like this, when I can't even get out of my driveway, I really miss the coast.
Yeah. I bet. So how many how much snow have you gotten there right now?
Well, it's not so much snow. What we've had for the last 24 hours is just little grains of ice falling out of the sky.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's what would you call that? I don't know.
Just kind of like being iced over, huh?
Yeah, it's icy rain, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, not a good time to be out on the roads out there, I guess.
No, you can't get on the roads at all right now.
Yeah. So you grew up with I know you and your brother. Was it just one? You got one brother that Dino, that
I have
you
another
did music
brother
with.
still out in Southern Cal. He lives in San Clemente.
You know what? I think I've met your other brother before, Skip. I think.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that later. But yeah, I know him a little bit. But were you guys musical? Was it a musical family that you grew up in?
Not really.
No.
So my parents, I would say what I got from them is they would play records around the clock.
Yeah.
You remember
what kind of music would they listen to?
Turntables where one record would finish and
the other would drop down.
They listen to everything. Gosh, they listen to like bossa nova. They listen to Frank Sinatra.
Sure.
They listen to Dean Martin. I mean everything.
Yeah.
They had such a well-rounded, taste in music that.
Yeah.
And all day long, I would hear music.
Right. So that gave you had an appreciation for that music, and that gave you an appreciation for music. And so, what was your early entry into? And what did you learn to play keyboards, or did you?
I was originally a drummer. I was always a drummer.
Oh, you were. Okay. Until
our singer left the band when I was about 12 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I was forced to. My mom said, "Go." It was my mom's time to say, "Hey, John, you can do this. Go out and sing I'll Be There by the Jacksons."
Is that right?
You'll win them over.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. And I sang it note for note in that key.
Is that right?
And probably because of Michael Jackson, but I pulled it off.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I was the singer.
So were your brothers Tito and were both brothers in that? You guys called yourself the Brotherhood, right?
Yes, exactly. No, Dina was in that band. Skip was off whatever he was doing at that time.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too much into that, but
okay.
A group called the Brotherhood was a wildly successful top 40 band in Southern California.
Yeah,
we would do high school proms and weddings, and I mean, you name it.
So what were you doing, mostly cover stuff, or were you doing original music?
So we were doing mostly cover. We played at Disneyland for a summer. Knott's Berry Farm. You're familiar with Knott's Berry Farm?
Sure. Oh yeah. And so how long did you do that how old were you?
That band, I think we started that band when I was about 13 years old.
Wow.
And we broke up when I was about 17. Because Dina and I we really wanted to start writing music. We were just tired of doing cover songs.
Yeah.
We felt like we wanted to take it to the next level.
So did you start writing some your own music at that time?
We did, but we got involved in the club scene, which I didn't really like too much.
Yeah, right.
The smell of beer kegs didn't really jive with me too much.
Yeah. And so, who were some of your early musical influences other than Michael Jackson?
I had such a wide spectrum.
Did you?
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course, Kansas. Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Of course, the Beatles. Elton John.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned to play keyboards was one of my main instruments by just getting Elton John records and I'd have a turntable on top of a spinet piano.
Yeah.
And I'd start to learn Rocket Man and learn a couple chords at a time.
Is that right?
I'd learn those chords and then move the needle a little bit more forward and learn a couple more chords until I had the whole song down.
No kidding. And so you never took formal
No.
piano lessons? Wow, that's incredible.
Is there such thing as a G minor seventh? I don't even know.
Yeah, you just play them.
But you know what, though, Ron? I really wish I had learned theory and learned how to read.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I think you've done okay without it, though, huh?
Well, but I would have been really dangerous.
You would have been really dangerous.
I would have been able to learn to write my own orchestra charts and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I hear all this really wild, really cool stuff in my head, but I can't get it down on paper.
Right. Right.
I don't know how.
And so even over the years, you never learned that stuff.
No.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. So from the time Brotherhood, and you were 13, and then you did that for a few years, and then what was the and I don't want to make this all about Kansas because I know it was just a short period of your life, but a huge impact on your overall notoriety and success.
Yeah, very huge.
But yes. But at what point did you get the call to go audition, or how did that? Talk about that whole audition and getting connected. Is that right from Brotherhood, and you went and did the audition, or?
No, Brotherhood ended when I was about 17. This came along after Brotherhood when we were doing clubs, and Dino and I were starting to try to pen our own stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember a band called Idle Cure?
It sounds familiar. Is that you guys?
Yeah, no. Idle Cure was a really good Christian rock band.
Okay.
Christian rock band. Actually, the guy that started that band, Mark Ambrose, is a pastor at Pacific Coast Church.
Oh, yes, of course. I know Mark Ambrose.
Mark brought me to the Lord.
Is that right?
And Mark, I've known almost my whole life.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Wow.
Since we moved out to California.
Yes. Yes, he pastors down in San Clemente.
Yes, I still talk to him all the time.
Do you?
Anyway, before we get into Mark, because he brought me to the Lord, that's another subject we might get into.
Yes.
One of the guys in his band told me, "Hey, Steve Walsh left Kansas. You should audition for that gig." And I went, "What? Like, I'm really going to get that gig? What am I going to do? Just write it on the paper? I'm available, and they're going to believe me?"
Yeah.
But Dino and I were shopping a record deal. We had a great demo put together, and we had this attorney in L.A., Jay Cooper, really high-powered. We were really trying to get a deal.
Yeah.
And I called Jay, and I said, "Jay, I heard Steve Walsh left Kansas. I'd really like to maybe take a shot at the gig if I could. Do you know who manages them, or who their attorney is?" He said, "Yeah, it's my partner."
Is that right?
And so I said, "Would you give him one of our demo tapes?" And to really condense the story, he gave the tape to his partner, Chuck Hurwitz. And a week later, I got a call from the manager of Kansas, Bud Carr. And he wanted to meet me in person. And, so we met in person. That meeting went well. And next thing I knew, Kerry Livin's calling me on the phone, and Philly Hart, the drummer. And next thing I know, to really condense it, I'm in Atlanta, and they told me I had the gig.
They told you what? So you had to obviously sing in front of them. What was that like?
Yeah.
Were you?
Well, I also had to do an audition in the studio with
right.
Ken Scott and the manager Bud Carr. Ken Scott is he did a couple of small time bands called Supertramp.
Oh yeah.
David Bowie.
Yeah. Some little lesser known groups. Huh?
Yeah, he was involved in the White Album. I mean, just a mega just a mega successful producer.
Right.
So I did my live audition in LA with none of the guys in Kansas were there. It was just the manager and Ken Scott.
Oh, really?
And I was as nervous as you can be. I mean, my knees were like.
Really?
I mean, my voice was actually shaking with my knees.
No kidding.
It was entirely my knees, and I thought I did a horrible job.
Did you?
And Dina was with me, my brother, and he was in the control room when I was doing the audition. And, when we got finished, I went in the control room and they said, "Oh, thanks, John. We really appreciate you doing this." And there were a couple other guys in the waiting room waiting to audition. And we got in my car and started to drive back home. And Dino said, "You got that gig, man."
No kidding.
He said to me, "That gig."
Oh, your brother said that to you.
He said to me, "You got that gig. It's yours."
Wow.
I said, "Were you smoking something like earlier or something?" He said, "No, it's just your voice just fit with that music.
Yeah.
It's fit. Yeah, you were nervous and they knew it in there.
Sure.
But of course you're going to be nervous.
Yeah.
But your voice just fit with that music. You had the same, kind of, Steve Walsh is one of my idols.
Yeah.
But they said your voice fit with the music. I mean, the tenor sound and the whole quality just really fit." He said, "You got it." I
Wow.
told him he was crazy.
Did you? And so how long before they let you know that you had the gig?
Might have been 2 or 3 weeks later.
Oh, really? That long? That was needles and pins, huh?
Yeah. Well, this was over the Christmas vacation when 1980 was turning into 81.
Yeah.
So, everybody was kind of off for Christmas.
Well, there were some other notable people that were auditioning for that position as well, right? Wasn't Sammy Hagar one of them?
Yeah, Sammy. That's what I hear. I during the time I'd never heard that Sammy auditioned, but now I hear that he did.
Yeah.
Sammy's a friend of mine, so I
Yeah.
probably could have asked him.
Yeah. Interesting. So when you got the call, and did you guys go out on tour immediately, or did you just have to work, practice, or rehearse
Well,
with
the
them?
first thing we had to finish the record,
Yeah.
and we finished the record, and Play the Game Tonight came out as the first single, and it was like a top 5 single. It was like, whoa, not bad for my first swing at it,
Yeah.
And second single was I don't remember, but anyway, I mean, we were having pretty big success with that record.
Yeah.
And next thing was the tour. I mean, that was the method that used to take place: a record,
Sure.
a tour,
Yeah. Yeah.
a record, a tour.
Right.
This vicious cycle that went round and round, and
Yeah.
we were on that Ferris wheel.
So you step in for Steve Walsh, who's sung these iconic Kansas songs.
Mm-hmm.
How did that feel? I mean, that had to be pretty tough. I mean, and then how did the audience react when you came in?
Tomatoes were thrown at me.
Are you serious?
Somebody threw a bar of soap at me.
Wow. Seriously? Wow.
Somebody had a bar of soap and they threw it at me. Hit me right in the face.
No kidding. Wow.
But for the most part, they totally accepted me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our first night was in Huntsville, Alabama. The first gig I did with about 18,000 people. I was really nervous. And Steve Walsh was he was at the mixing board.
Oh, he was?
I didn't know it till afterwards.
Oh, good.
And he was with his band. And my brother was sitting right next to him. Because my brother knew everybody too. My brother was at the show,
Sure.
And he was sitting right next to the guys. And from what I heard from Dino is they were all going, "This guy sucks."
Oh my gosh.
The guys in Steve's band were going, "Oh, this guy sucks, Steve. Let's get out of here." And what he heard Steve say, "No, he doesn't suck. This kid's good."
Wow. Wow.
And that made me feel good. But
yeah.
If I knew he was there, I probably would have fainted.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you had big shoes, because those are big power ballads that he would sing, with like "Wayward Son" and "Dust in the Wind" and some of these. Yeah. My gosh. How did you meld with the guys in the band? Well, let me go back a little bit, because from what I understand, Carrie Livgren and
Dave Hope.
Dave Hope were both believers at that time, correct?
Yeah.
And was that part of the reason for Walsh's departure, because there were some creative differences there, or how did that work?
Well, Carrie had started writing lyrics with a lot of Christian content.
Yeah.
But Carrie's a good enough and prolific enough writer where it wasn't like he threw it in your face.
Yeah.
There were lots of inferences,
Yeah.
and Christians knew what he was talking about. But I think what got him is on the song "Crossfire." There's a line that says, "Until you face the one who rose." Steve couldn't sing that.
Oh, really?
I'm just telling you what I heard. I never heard
sure.
say that.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to sing "Till You Face the One Who Rose." So that line put him over the edge, and that put me in the group. And Carrie got saved way before I did. And
it was just coincidental that you came in and were a believer at the time, right? I mean,
you know what? Carrie and Dave didn't know that.
Oh, they didn't?
No. They had prayed that God would bring them a believer to be their singer.
Yeah.
But it was kind of majority rules, and
sure,
vote with the management and everything, and said, okay, John's the guy. They didn't know I was a believer.
Yeah.
And when I told Carrie after they put me in the group, very shortly after, a phone call after I'd rehearsed with him for a few days, he went silent on the phone. It's like, Carrie, you there?
Really?
He said, he was crying.
No kidding.
He was weepy. He said, John, you have no idea. You have no idea how much that means to me.
Wow.
That we're going to have somebody that really believes what I'm writing about now.
Yeah.
Doing this stuff.
Right. Rather than just mouthing the words, somebody who really believes it and lives it. Wow.
It was pretty amazing. Those guys had no idea that what they prayed for came true.
Yeah. Well, I want to bring this all back together because I want to hear where your point of faith was. And I know that goes back to Mark Ambrose. And then we'll kind of come back to how that played out in the band. But let's go back a little bit into your, did you grow up in a faith family or did you?
No.
No?
Not really.
At what point did you become a believer?
That's where Mark Ambrose comes back into the picture.
Yeah.
Mark and I grew up together, like in grade school and junior high, and drifted apart somewhat in high school. And Mark came back into my life when I was about 19 and started laying all this stuff on me about Jesus and about, if you die tomorrow, do we go to heaven? And it's like, whoa. Yeah. It's like, I can't become a Christian now, man. I'm getting started on my rock career.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I don't want to start singing like, hymnals and
right. Sure.
I'll have to change my friends, my clothes, this, my that. It's like
carry a Bible and the whole thing.
Yeah, it was just the enemy just
sure
trying to break me down or whatever. But Mark he came into my life. He was so much different. It's like, Mark, hello. What'd they do with Mark Ambrose? Where's the Mark I used to know?
Yeah.
The partying Mark. That's the Mark I want back.
Yeah.
He wasn't anywhere to be found.
Wow.
And he took me to some Bible studies at Calvary Costa Mesa, which you're aware of.
Sure.
Craig Laurie and all those great pastors.
Yeah.
And so, I went to those, but it freaked me out. What it's going to do to my life.
Yeah.
If I become a Christian, I'm going to have to change everything. And in a short amount of time, God just said nothing. I'll take care of it all. God really spoke to me and told me, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything right now, except give your heart to me. And that's exactly what I did. It wasn't about changing friends and all that stuff. And I read a book called Evidence Demands a Verdict. Yeah. By Josh McDowell.
Right.
Mark had given it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that did a number on me, man. Boy, was that a big turning point.
Powerful book. Yeah.
And there's a line in that book somewhere that says it takes more faith to not believe than to believe.
Right.
That did it for me. I called Mark. We didn't have cell phones then.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's right.
I called Mark and I said, my parents had they let us convert their little 2-car garage in the back into a little home studio.
Uh-huh.
And it was really nice. It was a nice little 8-track studio. I mean, that's where it all started.
Was it? Yeah.
And I called Mark and I said, "Come on over, buddy. I'm ready."
Really?
We accepted the Lord in that little 8-track studio.
No kidding. Wow. I did not know that. I had no idea. I mean, I know Mark. I don't know him real well, and it's been quite a few years, but I had no idea that was the story behind your coming to faith.
Yeah, that's it.
And so how long after you made that commitment did you get signed on with Kansas?
Year and a half.
So here you are, a brand new believer, going out on the road with this mega rock group, but coincidentally, 2 of their main guys are believers as well. But that had to be like meteoric? I mean, here you go from this local.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, no doubt. And now you're touring the country and before crowds of 18,000 people. How was that on your faith? Was that a pretty big test and trial from that standpoint?
Extremely. It was huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of temptation.
Sure.
Because, you go from being a nobody to a big time somebody.
Right.
And everybody has an ego.
Yeah.
And, the enemy knows that most egos can be exploited.
Yeah.
At times. I mean, not that it could take you down, because it didn't take me down, but it took me to some places I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I don't mean like heavy sin or it's what it did to my head.
Yeah.
It's what it did to my whole persona. I mean, I was suddenly cool, making a lot of money, and
yeah,
it just, things change, and
yeah,
it was a little rough for me to deal with it in reality.
Yeah. Wow. And so, were you guys able to encourage each other kind of on the road, or was it, in terms of,
Carrie and Dave, we used to have little Bible studies, and but gosh, when I was on the road, I was so freaked out at just getting a good night's sleep.
Were you?
Because when you're on the road and you're singing that kind of stuff that has that high tenor vocal.
Yeah.
If you don't get enough sleep, man, you're dead.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh.
And we would usually have a 5 o'clock lobby call.
Yeah.
By the time you get done with the show, it's 11 o'clock.
Right.
Then you do a meet and greet with the press, and then you meet people on the way to you don't go to bed till 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm up 2 hours later, ready to get on a flight to go to the next gig.
Right. How did you like touring? Was that a pretty grueling? Well, obviously, it's just what you're saying. It's a pretty grueling experience.
I didn't like it.
You didn't enjoy it?
No. Well, I shouldn't say that. I enjoyed it once I got to our destination and I had rest.
Yeah.
Which was not very often.
Right. Right.
But touring's rough, man.
Yeah.
Especially when we toured with Heart. They did 14 nights in a row.
Is that right?
I mean, let me tell you, buddy, 14 nights in a row is rough for any male singer.
Yeah. Oh, again, I can't imagine. And when you're doing it for large crowds like that, it's not like you're just doing a little intimate club. It's you're out there and moving around and doing the power ballads and the whole thing. Wow. Oh. So did you was your faith? So your faith was tested to some degree, but you were able to endure through that. And but then you were only with Kansas for what, 3 years? It 3 years?
Yeah, three and a half.
Yeah, and then you and Livgren and the other guy dropped my mind.
Dave Hope.
Left. Yeah, Dave Hope left at the same time, right? In '84.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that I was with the original band.
Yeah, right.
Carrie Livgren, Dave Hope, Philly Hart, Robbie Steinhardt, Rich Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, when we left the band, then the band never performed with that lineup ever again. the original lineup, with the exception of Steve Walsh.
Yeah.
So I'm just so blessed that I was with the original band.
Yeah. It's an incredible story. I mean, you go from this, just a local guy here in Southern California and get called up to this band that's just exploding. And then you're there for 3 years. And then how was it leaving and departing? Was that a tough transition for you?
Extremely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on a train going, 200 miles an hour, and suddenly when it ended, I hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
I had a lot of emotional problems, and I haven't told a lot of people that, but when it ended, it was like, you can't just end that kind of ride and expect it emotionally not to hit you pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I had lots of problems with anxiety and some depression, and I didn't know who I was anymore for a while.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute. 3.5, 4 years ago, I was just this new kid on the block.
Yeah.
And suddenly now it's all stopped.
Was it your choice?
But God showed me shortly after that it didn't all stop. It was just beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a good perspective. So was your departure, the band kind of went silent for about a year there, didn't they? Between 84 and 85?
Yeah, longer than that.
Was it longer than that?
I think so, yeah. They tried to keep me in the band, and Rich and the drummer Phil.
Yeah.
Well, I love both those guys dearly.
Yeah.
I just, I really wanted to just go out and test my wings.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had what it took as a writer and a singer to make it work. And then, we'll have to save it for another show, but
Yeah.
it's too lengthy to get into. But I went, many different directions that I never thought. I went into producing, and
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to be a producer. I mean, what was that?
Well, yeah, as I read through the information that I've read through on you and preparing for tonight, it just seems to me the amazing work that you've done in producing and so forth. But just to kind of finish that chapter on Kansas, so you left in 84 and the group reforms after a couple of years, but Steve Walsh comes back again, doesn't he?
Actually, I think the last gigs I performed was in 85. We did a USO tour.
Uh-huh. Right. And then after your departure, Walsh comes back again, right?
Yeah, a few years later, yeah.
But Livgren
and Dave.
Dave, I don't know why I can't remember. They left, and so
Dave Hope, by the way, was a pastor for 24 years.
Is that right? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Down in Destin, Florida.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Incredible. So now you're out on your own and away from that whole meteoric ride and going through some emotional stuff. And was this stuff that you'd had before the notoriety, or was it as a result of that?
I would say as a result of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my being with Kansas catapulted my career.
Right.
I would never deny that and try to say,
Yeah.
it's like, I was great and I didn't need those. I mean, I would never say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a nobody before I joined Kansas, and I was a somebody while I was with them and even after I left.
Yeah.
And it's really shaped my entire career.
Sure.
Even to this day.
Yeah. And through all this, you and your brother have been pretty much partners in the musical end of things, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
And so you guys started producing, and then you start the studio,
right?
Which ends up becoming one of the largest and most popular studios in the Eastern United States, right?
Yes.
Crazy. And you built this huge studio. that had to be quite a undertaking, huh? And
totally.
did you already have a lot of people after you to do the producing and just built this, or did you kind of?
Well, when we first moved to Middle Tennessee, we built 2 studios, and they were only built for use for what we were producing.
Yeah.
They don't like close to the public.
Yeah.
And some people found out about it and said, "Hey, you guys, are you going to be in there this weekend? Do you mind if we rent a couple of days and go in on the weekend?" Okay, yeah, why not? So it got to the point where those two studios got so booked that we had to go downtown Nashville to record.
Oh, really?
Because if you think about it, they're paying retail, we're paying next to nothing.
Yeah.
It made sense to rent to the retail people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're like, okay. And in 1995, I believe, we built the two studios in 93.
Mm-hmm.
In 95, we put on about an 18,000 square foot addition.
Oh my gosh. That's huge. Now, so who were some of the first acts or groups that you produced?
The first group we produced was the Sweet Comfort Band.
Yeah. Now, did you do their well, they had already had, I know, one album out in their beginnings. And matter of fact, I just interviewed.
Yeah, they had. I think they had quite a few records. Well, they probably had 3 records out before we.
Yeah.
Produced one.
Yeah. And I just had Brian on a few weeks ago. Brian's a good guy, and man, what a voice! It's kind of like you. I mean, he's just got that instantly identifiable voice. And
Brian's great, man.
Yeah, yeah. And we had them at the Upper Room a few years back, and he still's got it. Those guys still bring it. Really good stuff.
And after that, we moved on to Petra.
Yeah. And so you produced some albums with Petra, and was that with John Schlitt, or was that before his?
No, we started with John Schlitt. The first record was Back to the Street right after Greg Valls had left.
Yeah.
So I was in charge of getting John back in shape.
Were you?
Vocal calisthenics, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys are incredible vocalists, and just is amazing.
But we still do stuff all the time.
Yeah, you do. Well, I wanted to get into that too, because you guys do with Jay Sekulow band, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about that. But so you started. So you weren't only doing Christian artists though, either, were you? In producing.
Well, we did. We co-produced the soundtrack to Saint Almost Fire.
Oh, right. Yes.
And
yes.
We had a big song on that record called "Young and Innocent."
Yeah. But eventually, major artists were recording at your studio, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah. There were days at the kitchen we had Bon Jovi in one room and Faith Hill's in another room. Julio Iglesias is over here. Alan Jackson over here. It's like I would walk up to Dino's office upstairs. Well, mine was right behind his, and I would just sit down, and he had these red couches. It's like, what are these funky red couches? Get rid of these things, I told him. I sit down and just, can you believe who's in here right now?
Yeah.
We're a couple of weasels, and these guys are actually recording in our studio.
That's amazing.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Springsteen.
Incredible.
I mean,
yeah. And then, but you guys were working your tails off in producing all these different artists. And
oh yeah.
How long did you do the studio there?
Gosh, we sold it in I think 05 or 06.
Yeah. Do you miss?
Yeah, I miss it. I do miss it for a lot of reasons, but from a financial and technology standpoint, I don't miss it because technology was getting so cheap.
Yeah.
You can do as much in spending $15,000-$20,000 on a rig in your basement now.
Yeah.
To what would have cost us $1.5 million.
Right.
Back in 2001.
Yeah. So it's just the numbers weren't working at the time, and.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. In the music industry, so let me ask you this: in terms of Christian music, and I know that's a whole vast subject. When you talk about CCM and all that, but you were never really in that. Even though you were recording Christian music, but who are some of the Christian artists that, other than Petra and Sweet Comfort Band, that you worked with?
Oh gosh, well, we had our own label, Guardian,
Yeah.
Natalie Grant,
Yeah.
Carmen. Gosh, there's so many. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But we had our own label,
Right.
so we were doing a lot of the bands on our label, Mastodon.
Yeah.
Gosh, Fear Not, Ex Sinner. I mean, there was a million of them.
Yeah.
What time is it here? Almost, at 10 o'clock. Almost 10 o'clock. I'm a little fuzzy.
Are you okay? Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about Jay Sekulow, and then we'll try to go to some questions. We have some questions. We got a lot of comments. Okay, Marisa says we've got some questions, but I want to talk about. Well, let's go to some questions, and we'll come back and talk about the Jay Sekulow Band, and then we'll wrap up here. So, Marisa, bring up a few questions if you would. Okay, here's from DJ Randy Johnson. Hey, Ron and John, question. Were you a fan of Kansas before you joined the band?
Big time.
Yeah. So that had to be quite a mind blower to be all of a sudden fronting this band that you were.
Can you imagine being a huge fan of Kansas, then you're suddenly the lead singer?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That didn't happen. That doesn't happen every day.
No, exactly. Okay, here's from Ian Hayden. John, what's your favorite Kansas song?
Oh gosh, I had favorite songs I loved to sing, which would probably be "No One Together." Centuries of backward ways and many lives. I love that singing that song.
Yeah.
I loved, well, not to toot my own horn, Dino's horn, but I love the song "Chasing Shadows."
Yeah, and that was one that you and Redina wrote.
Right, and I loved "Crossfire." I loved "Diamonds and Pearls."
Yeah.
I'm moving away from the stuff that we all know and love from back before I joined. But
what was the toughest song to sing on stage? Because you had some powerful.
Probably "Portrait."
Really?
He had a different idea because it never went down.
Yeah. Wow.
It never went into the lower range. No. It never,
yeah.
It stayed up here the whole time.
Right.
It was always up there, man.
Yeah. Man.
That killed me. Well, you love the singer, though.
Oh, yeah. Great. Okay, here's one from Leslie Jeans. What name book again, please? I'm not sure I understand that one. I don't know what that means. What name book? Not sure I understand that question. From Jimmy Cook. Hi, John. Do you consider performing in small venues, including churches and house concerts?
I do them all the time.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. You know who to get for your church or your small.
Well, let me just say, I used to do them all the time.
Yeah. COVID's probably changed a lot of that.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. Michael Parra. Hi, John. Do you stay in contact with Carrie?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. In
fact, I sang on 2 songs, full-fledged songs for Carrie, and I'm playing the part of Lazarus on his cantata. He's been working on a cantata for 35 years, believe it. And I'm playing the part of Lazarus, so I've been singing a lot of that. But yeah, I'm in touch with Carrie a lot.
Yeah. Randy Johnson again. Question: what was it like working with Carrie?
He's a genius.
Yeah.
He's a genius that can't find his car in the parking lot.
Is that right? Isn't that usually the way it is, though, huh?
Oh, he's Beethoven, man. I mean,
yeah.
Didn't Beethoven know where he parked his car?
Exactly. Well, let's bring in this question from Kyle. We'll see. Okay, we got Steve Horner. Loved all the stuff you've done in Kansas. Wish I could seen you perform with them. Do you think you'll ever have the opportunity to sing with them in concert and do some of the songs you sang on?
Well, if they ask me, yeah, but they've never asked me.
No, didn't they seek you out around a few years ago again to come back?
Yeah, we talked.
Yeah, it just wasn't the right timing, and
Yeah.
But you're willing to go out again and do something with them if they?
Yeah, I didn't want it. I didn't want to tour.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still playing live. Well, I used to before COVID, but I just wanted to. At my age, Ron, I just want to do things on my timeline. I
totally get that.
A grandkid now, and I didn't want to say, "Hey, John, we're going out for 3 weeks, and this is where we're going to be." I mean, the way I'm doing things now is I get to pick and choose what I want to do, and it's all good.
Yeah.
But if they ask me to come sing with them, yeah, I do it in a heartbeat.
Now, it wouldn't be the same iteration of the group that you performed with, though. I mean, it's almost a different group, isn't it? Now?
Well, it's a totally different group.
Yeah.
I think the two original guys left are not Carrie, but Rich Williams and Phil Ehart.
Yeah.
But the band's still really good, man.
Yeah.
Really good.
Right. Okay, then you brought another one up, Marisa. This is from Kyle, your friend and mine, Kyle Keffer, who's the one that connected us. Was the start of your friendship with John Schlitt was that the start of your friendship with John Schlitt that endures to today in the Jay Sekulow band?
Yes, John introduced me to Jay.
Oh, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take that opportunity to dive into Jay's band. How did that start, and what did you actually get out and do any touring?
Yeah, no, we haven't done any touring, but we've done 2 or 3 live shows. But what Jay likes to do is he built this just really cool place for us to record, and I mean record live, and probably holds a few hundred people, and he's got a killer stage setup. I mean, unbelievable lights and sound system.
Wow.
And 5-camera shoot system.
Wow.
And Jay would rather do that.
Yeah, bring the people in there.
Well, rather that and deliver the videos to his donors.
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen some of them on YouTube. Incredible stuff. And you got Schlitt in there, and you got so I don't know who some of the other players are, but just top-rated players.
Oh yeah, great players. But it was Kyle was his name.
Yeah.
Kyle. To answer his question, yeah, I met Jay through John.
Right.
John called me one day and he said, "Hey man, do you know who Jay Sekulow is?" I said, "Yeah, I know who Jay Sekulow is." He said, "Well, I want you to come down and meet him. He really wants to meet you."
Is that right?
Yeah, I know where he's at. He's over there. And I went to his place and we met, hit it off real well. And Jay used to just in his little radio studio. Right after he was done with his radio show, he shut everything down. It's like we would just jam for a little while.
Is that right?
And then it just grew exponentially from there. It grew to this like, okay, now we're doing a real video with a real song and a real taping.
Yeah.
And then we just, one thing led to another, and it just kept getting better and better and better.
Yeah. Yeah. And how long have you guys been doing that now?
Gosh, it's been 6 years.
Wow. Well, some great stuff there. I mean, I've watched some of that, and it's just incredible stuff.
In fact, we're just about to do 4 new tunes.
Are you? Is it all cover stuff, or are you bringing in some original stuff?
Well, the problem with the original stuff is Jay is so busy.
Yeah.
As you know. Is we just, it's easier for us to do covers because they're already written and they're already done. And his audience loves them. So, no, we do have some originals. We've got 4 or 5 originals.
Do you?
We did a whole Christmas record. Those weren't originals. But, no, we have 4 or 5 originals that are actually really good.
And so you and Schlitt share the lead vocals in that, or kind of trade off? And
yeah.
Yeah. Is Jay as good a musician as he is an attorney?
I'd have to say no. I hope he doesn't see that, but no, Jay's really talented.
Well, he seems like he keeps pretty good time on those drums, though. Seems like he's pretty on it.
Don't get me wrong. Even if you're watching Jay, he's very talented, but he's an extremely talented attorney.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know who Jay Sekulow is, he's a attorney. He's President Trump's attorney who defended him in the first impeachment trial, and a very noted attorney in his own right, even before that.
Jay's in case you don't know, he's a constitutional attorney.
Constitutional attorney, yes. You got it. You got it exactly the way it is. So yeah,
Jay never. Jay was never a Trump apologist all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's perfect.
Right.
And it wasn't like, we'd go there and talk politics during rehearsals. I mean, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
We just had fun being in a band, and we all knew that this was a big release for Jay, just to, loosen his tie, get away from the day's work, and just have fun,
Yeah.
The band wasn't about politics.
Right. Yeah.
But there were times, this is a funny story. There were plenty of times where, we'd be rehearsing and we'd just see Jay go, and everybody, stop. Could you hold for the president?
Yeah.
And then he would just go go into the other room for a minute.
Yeah.
He talked to Trump, and we're sitting there going, all right, hurry up, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard, I interviewed Mike.
Our drummer's in there talking to the president. We can't move on yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd interviewed Mike Huckabee several months back in Nashville.
I love Mike.
Yeah, great guy. But he said the same thing. He said, sometimes I'd get calls, I could see it's, from Washington, D.C., answer it, and it's Trump. He says, yeah, I just want to let you know, Mike, I love your daughter. She's great, So you got to take the call when the president calls, right?
Oh, about the only story I can tell. I don't know many, but Trump called Jay one night.
Did he?
And Jay's just kind of snickering on the phone. And Jay would never ever divulge any kind of conversation he had.
Sure.
I mean, Jay's really top notch when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But he did tell us one story, and I think this is harmless. He said, Trump said, I just had the best piece of cake. It was so good. It was so good, Jay. It was just so good. And Jay's just, okay, I need to get back to rehearsal. But
that's funny.
We had to tell him what a good piece of cake he had.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's just a guy, right? I want to go back to this question that somebody asked about the book, and now I understand what it was. The book was Evidence That Demands a Verdict by
Josh McDowell.
Josh McDowell, that John had mentioned earlier that his friend gave him, that he read. Evidence That Demands a Verdict. Do we have any more questions before we kind of close out tonight, Marisa? Probably a lot of them there. Let's see. Here's one from Craig Bacon. How did the re-release of the Mastodon albums come about, and any chance of other solo albums you might see re-released?
Yes. I mean, a lot of them are coming out on vinyl.
Yeah.
Mastodon record, I think he's referring, has just come out on vinyl. I think in time they'll all be re-released.
Yeah.
But I think a CD has to reach a certain shelf life.
Yeah.
Before it's re-released and remastered.
Yeah.
But most of my records that have, I've been involved with, it's happening right now. And I do want to mention to your listeners that I have a new record coming out in the spring.
Do you?
Yes.
Wow. And what's that called?
The working title right now is Stronger.
Stronger. And that's going to be out when?
That's the title song on the record, Stronger. I'm going to say late April, maybe. Early May.
Yeah.
The reason we're calling it Stronger is because I think a lot of us have went through this process of, just uncertainty.
Yeah.
Everything. What, none of us have ever been through anything like this.
Yeah.
And, I think through this whole process, at least in my life, I mean, I hit the skids there for a while. It's like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
what's up with this? Like my wife and I used to love to go out to dinner once a week.
Yeah.
And, we used to maybe take a trip to the coast.
Right.
Sometimes, we just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I want to go out, get on a plane and go see my brother in California. And
yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I can't do that right now.
It has changed everything, hasn't it?
So much uncertainty, but I feel like in some respects, many respects, that I've gotten stronger through this process.
Yeah.
I feel like I know myself a little better.
Yeah.
And, I've had to recapture, not that my relationship with the Lord had vanished by any means, but I feel like my relationship flattened for a while there.
Yeah.
But I've come out of it stronger.
Yeah. That's great. Well, it's been a time to really kind of reflect on all of this stuff. And as we close here in the last couple minutes, John, most of the people watching are believers, but we never know. There's some out there who are not. There's people that are Kansas fans. What would you say to those that don't have a faith, that are maybe searching, or just like you're saying, going through this time right now, just a lot of uncertainty in the country, a lot of certainty in the world. What would you say in terms of encouragement, in terms of faith?
What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose by just saying, Christ, I'm a sinner. Come into my heart. I accept the blood of Jesus Christ. I believe that you gave your one and only Son that died on a cross for my sins. Lord, I don't know you. I don't know what you're going to do for me. I don't really believe much right now, but I'm going to take this step of faith and I'm going to invite you into my heart. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's a great point. What have you got to lose? You've got everything to lose if you don't, and everything to gain if you do. But you're absolutely right.
There's a lot of people that have taken that tactic. What do I have to lose?
Well,
and
that's true.
Very strong, are 30, 40-year Christians.
Yeah. Well, it's absolutely true.
Why? Because God showed them something.
Right. Take Jesus at his word. He says, "Behold, I stand at the door and I knock. If any man opens that door, I will come in and sup with him and he with me."
Amen.
And he does forgive us of our sins, and we all have sinned and fallen short. So if you make that decision tonight, if you're watching, please let us know at the Upper Room. You could email us, and we'd love to send you a Bible, pray for you, and have that same faith that John has had, and Carrie, and just a wonderful life of walk in Christ. That's the prayer at the Upper Room presents.com. Prayer at the Upper Room presents.com. We'd love to connect with you. John, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I've really enjoyed this, and I know we've kept you up late. You're a couple hours ahead there, and
I'll be up for another 3 hours. You kidding?
Is that right? Okay. Well, it's been a real joy, and I'd love to talk to you again. One of the things I wanted to mention too, another common friend you and I have is Dave Del Sesto.
Dave,
yeah. Dave called me.
He's retired down in Florida now.
Well, I think you're talking about his uncle. I know the nephew, Dave.
No, he's an accountant.
Yeah, the CPA here in California.
I love Dave. Yeah.
He and he called me. He says, "Hey, how'd you connect with John?" And we said that. I said, "Well, I've forgotten that you knew him, that you worked with him." So I'm sure he's watching. And
call me. I love him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. Well, John, thank you so much. God bless you. And I'd love to reach out to you and talk to you some more about getting you out to the Upper Room sometimes when things open up.
Thank you. And thank Marissa too. She helped me.
Yes, and I do want to take the time, because I always forget to thank my staff here. Marissa, my producer, does a great job. Tom Michelon does all the technical stuff, and our graphics guy, Felsen Palad, and great people behind the scenes here. So I want to give them their props. And so, yes, thank you for reminding me of that. John, God bless you. Thanks. Take care and stay warm in all that snow, huh?
You got it.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you much.
And take care, folks. See us next. Tune in next week when we have Greg Reed, and it's going to be a great time. God bless you. Take care.